welcome back to The Vibes. It's your host, Favour Daramola, and today we've brought to you another interesting topic. We'll be talking about relationship, dating, and consent. And in today's modern world of dating, there's been so many issues around ghosting, breadcrumbing, and lots of toxicity that is involved in our relationships. And today we're going to be delving deep into this topic and analyzing it from a male and female perspective. We're happy to have you on here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so don't go anywhere and we'll be right back. This is The Vibes Show. Alright, welcome back. So now we're going to be talking about ghosting and breadcrumbing and its impact on mental health. So do you have anything to tell us about this?
One thing I would say about ghosting, when it comes to that in a relationship, it's not really good to just ghost someone and just walk up and leave, because for starters, that person puts their trust into you. They're dedicated to spending time with you and wants to actually build something with you. And ghosting is something that can really take a mental toll on somebody, because you're just leaving without any explanation.
Yeah.
You're just leaving them hopeless.
Yes.
When that person depended on you, to protect you, to take care of them, and just be able to have you close to them as their person.
Yeah.
And love crumbing, it's also another. You can also use another word, love bombing.
Yeah.
It's when someone would show their affection, show that they will love you, take care of you, say that they love you and try to reassure you. Mm-hmm. But in reality, they're just using you for their own well-being, using you for their own attention, and to feed off your own energy. And when you're down or you don't have anything left, they'll just leave you just like that.
Yeah, I can absolutely relate with that. I've heard stories where a lady is being asked out by different guys, maybe 2, 3, 4 guys, and she doesn't give a specific response to any of them, and she just keeps them hanging for months and even years, and she's getting all the attention from all of them. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. One thing I'll say about that is that, especially in this generation now, that it's not how it used to be back in the day, where people would actually feel genuine love. Nowadays, people would just want to talk to many people to just, I guess, feel, to uplift their ego.
Yeah.
Or to be like, okay, there's a lot of people that want to be with me. There's a lot of people that would want to do this for me.
Yeah.
And that. And people try to use that as their advantage to feel like they're on top of the world, to reach some type of satisfaction.
Yes.
And I would say that is very wrong, because these people are here expecting something good. They want to dedicate their life and actually try to build something with you. And for someone to do something like that is very wrong, and it's not okay to do, because you're hurting someone. And if you don't want to be with that person, you shouldn't try to do these things to them, and you shouldn't have multiple people set aside to just, oh, okay, I'm gonna talk to you today, tomorrow I'm gonna talk to you, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's very important that we put ourselves in other people's shoes, and we are not hurting people to feed our own ego.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now we're going to be talking about how social media has influenced unrealistic relationship expectations, where people see how other people's relationships are going, and because people post their highlights on social media, right? So you're beginning to compare the highlights of other people's relationships with yours. Well, I mean, most of those people, they go the extra mile to make their relationships picture perfect, and they post those picture perfect experiences and moments on social media, and then you are comparing your own reality with that, which is not healthy, right? I've heard people say something like, oh, if he doesn't propose to me like this, I don't want it. If he doesn't propose to me with a car, I don't want it. If he doesn't cry on our wedding day, I don't want it, right? So those are unrealistic expectations, right? And it's unfair to put those expectations on your partner. It's even unhealthy for you, because now you're going to be hurting yourself in the process, because you don't even know, you know, the things that those people had to do. It's just not realistic, right? And it's not healthy for you and your relationship.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Like I said, nowadays, also people like to involve other people into their relationship. So, for an example, if you're ever having an argument, people tend to like to go and get other people's advice and their input on their situation. But people have to understand that everyone deals with their own problems in a different way. They have their own problems. So you can't compare what you're seeing online with your own relationship, because you don't know if that married couple that's trying to live their perfect life over social media is also having their own family issues. So when it comes to setting a standard and saying, oh, if I'm going out with this guy and he's not doing this and that, I don't want it. If he's taking me to McDonald's, not saying that it's where that's a place where you should take your girlfriend or significant other, but it has to come to you being appreciative of that person wanting to spend time with you. Right. It's either going on a picnic, going to a 5-star restaurant. These are things that you have to be appreciated, because at any moment you could lose that partner. So you shouldn't just base your relationship off flashy things, because flashy things is not what's going to create good memories with that person. It's the quality times that you guys spent together. So I feel like when it comes to social media, it's not a good thing to really post your relationship, because also people would also have their own negative input and try to bring you guys down, try to put hate comments, and hate comments can make people very delusional and start thinking certain things, and that can turn into bad energy going into that relationship, and a lot of fights, arguments could come out and happen.
Yes, absolutely. So being appreciative and satisfied with what you have, doing your level part-time, and also not always wanting validation from the public, because that can have a negative impact on your relationship, because then you're inviting a third party, right, to be judging, to be deciding for you who is right and who is wrong, which is absolutely not good. And also, when people post their special moments, right, you go on a date with someone, or you go on a vacation, you know, for married couples, and you post your entire experience there. Like, so at what point do you now enjoy the moments together with each other? Because you are all about, you know, just holding camera to capture the moment, to show everybody what you're enjoying, right? If you're truly enjoying each other, you're truly enjoying the company of your significant partner, then why do you need to hold the camera to show the world, right? So I think that's also there, right? So thank you very much for that. Now we're going to be talking about red flags to look out for in relationships, and, you know, in the choice of a significant partner or a significant other. So some of the red flags for me is lack of values. Number one, your values should align, right? Whoever you're going to be in a serious relationship with, you should have similar values. And also lack of boundaries and disrespect for your values. Apart from the fact that your values should align, they should respect your boundaries, and they should respect your values. If anybody is showing lack of respect, for example, if you've decided, maybe based on your faith or personal decision, to remain chaste until you get married, right? Keep the bed undefiled, and this person shows no respect for that, shows no regard for that, that is definitely a reason to reevaluate your relationship with this person. Would you like to give any input on that?
Yeah, I would also agree with that. And one thing I would say is, one of the biggest flag is if the person I'm talking to does not have, I would say, like a goal or a vision of what they want to do with their life. it's I don't think I would be able to sit down and be able to pursue my dream knowing that the person I want to be with and grow with is not able to be able to fulfill their own dreams, that they just want to sit home and relax and not do anything while I'm working, right? So that's a major big red flag, someone that doesn't also have their life together. If you are just depending on me to help you with everything, there's nothing wrong with helping your loved one, because you're doing it out of love, because you care about them and you want to take care of them. But when it comes to you constantly asking for something and they give it to you, and then when that moment happens where they won't be able to help you in that moment, you tend to feel angry or mad and will start to say, oh, this person does not love me no more. You don't love me like you used to because you don't do certain things. You don't buy me clothes. You don't send me money, right? So that's a major red flag. Someone that doesn't really have something going on for themselves and doesn't have a vision and a goal into their life in the end run.
Absolutely, that is absolutely true, and it's something that is common in our society today, because I hear a lot of women saying the way to make a woman happy, or a lot of comics and posts about that. The way to make a woman happy is just give her money, and it's as bad as you go on a date with someone, they pay your transport, they come to pick you, you have nothing, absolutely nothing for yourself, which means you don't. What do you bring to the table exactly, right? And that also boils down to self-worth, right?
Yes.
And how much value you place on yourself. And people are men think logically, and it's how you place yourself before them, how you portray yourself before them, that they will treat you. So
one thing I would say is that it goes for both genders, male and female. If you see that your self-worth and your time is not being valuable enough, you have to understand, even if you love that person so much, you have to understand that sometimes you have to let that person go and distance yourself for your own mental health. For an example, if you are dedicating your time to going to see someone and you're always putting to the money, you're always making sure they're always set, and always making sure, let me say, oh, did you eat today? Those small things, if your significant other is not putting that same amount of energy you are putting to that relationship, you have to understand that you are worth more than that. You are worth more than just a little penny. That person should be able to text you in the morning. That person should be able to communicate you. And if communication is not going as well into a relationship, and you've tried constantly over to resolve it and try to talk to them, and nothing has changed, it's not a place where you can be at and continue being in a relationship, because you have to understand your self-worth, and you are worth more than that.
Wow, this conversation is already deep and we are just getting started. We're going to go on a quick break and we will be right back with more interesting conversations, insights and solutions. Don't go anywhere and we will be right back. Alright, welcome back to the Vibes Show. If you are just tuning in, today we're talking about relationships, dating and consent. So talking about the modern dating trends, now we're going to be delving deeper into this topic and we will be addressing the importance of consent, boundaries, respecting boundaries and mutual understanding in relationships. The first thing we're going to be addressing is the importance of consent in relationships. If you'd like to help us with that, what does that mean to you?
I would say consent when it comes into a relationship if your significant other is not comfortable with doing something, you have to understand where they're coming from, because you want to make sure your significant other is comfortable with you. You don't want your partner to feel forced into doing something, forced into something that they know that they're not going to enjoy, and later on in the end run they'll feel bad, and because you're making them do something that they don't want to do. And you have to understand that it's not a good thing, because that can also take a mental toll on someone. So as I was saying before, you have to really understand where your partner is coming from, because you wouldn't want your significant other to ask you to do something and you feel pressured. And that's also one thing you guys have to communicate about. If you are not comfortable with doing something, you have to let that person know what is going on and how you feel. Because if not, they're just gonna keep asking you, keep doing these things, and that's not how a relationship works. That's how relationships crumble. You have to make sure your relationship is built off communication, because there's things that are gonna, of course, make the relationship enjoyable.
Thank you very much. And that brings us to our next question: the importance of communication and setting healthy boundaries. And how you communicate in setting those healthy boundaries, right? For example, if your partner does something that you don't like, I mean, it's not the person's intention to do something you do not like, because I think that is the number one key to every healthy relationship, right? Your partner has your best interest at heart, and you have each other's best interest at heart. So if someone is doing something that the other person doesn't like, it's not done intentionally, right? So if someone is doing something to you that you do not like, how then do you communicate that, and how do you communicate that boundary, not in a harsh way, coming from the understanding that this was not done intentionally, maybe they were just joking, but you didn't receive it that way. So yes. Do you have anything to say about it?
One thing I would say, and I'm gonna speak from personal experience, is that when someone would, if that person would say that they're mad at you, and you can clearly see the mood is off, and they don't want to communicate as much with you, I'm a type of person I would like to actually resolve the problem and actually talk about it. So I would tend to ask a lot of questions, be like, okay, how are you doing? Like why are you feeling this way? Like, tell me what the problem is, because I want to resolve the problem. And if I see that the person is just trying to brush it off and say, oh, no, find out yourself, you have to understand that the problem is not going to resolve itself just by you saying, oh, you figure out yourself. Because now I'm going to sit there and think. And if I didn't do something on purpose, the problem is never going to resolve without you communicating with me and telling me, okay, this is what you did, this is how I feel, and I don't like how you did it. Yeah. Right? And off that information that was given to me, I'm able to help and assist the problem so that the problem would not repeat itself again.
Yes. Thank you for that. And that's also why communication is very important, because some people just resort to silent treatment and they are like, well, you should know you shouldn't do that. Everyone is different, right? Especially because we are from different backgrounds.
Yes.
So what might be okay for you might not be okay for me, because I'm not used to that. So if you're doing that from a place of, playfulness, but I don't receive it that way, then I should be able to communicate why I don't like that, and you should also respect me enough to not assume that I should know certain things, right? So that's the place of communication. Self-worth and emotional resilience, and how that can impact our relationship, right? How do you see yourself? Before you go into a relationship, you should be a complete person. You should be whole in who you are. You should, like he said earlier, you should have an understanding of your values and where you are going to before going into a relationship. And you also go into a relationship with someone that is complete and whole in themselves. That is the only way you can have a complete relationship and a healthy one. So when people do not understand do not have self-worth and do not have values, then it's almost impossible for them to have healthy relationships, because then they'll be bringing baggage from not knowing exactly who they are, right?
Yes. If you don't know your own self-worth, the person that you say you're in love with, you won't know it, but that person is hurting you mentally to an extent where you can physically see it and also mentally see it on a person, that person is going through something. And if you don't assess the problem right there as it starts, it's going to keep building up, and you don't know your self-worth no more, because now you're letting that person disrespect you. You're letting that person waste your valuable time when you could have been doing something productive. Now you're letting that person just use you and not treat you as your worth.
Yeah.
So if, for an example, if your significant other can go a whole day without talking to you, without even at least communicating with you and saying, oh, I'm going to be busy today, I'm not going to be able to make it today. If these things are not put in place, you don't know your worth, and you're just letting that person walk all over you. And that's not how a relationship works. A relationship works by being able to respect each other, be able to communicate, because those all fall under self-worth. Because you know how much you're worth. You're not worth less than a penny. So you have to understand that if this person is not treating you and respecting you the way you're supposed to treating you the same way that you're respecting them,
Right.
that's when you have to realize and open your eyes. I'm not being treated as much I'm worth. I know I'm worth more than this. I'm worth enough that this person should be able to at least text me more and communicate with me more.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for that insight. And I think understanding your self-worth also goes into how you know, in this aspect, how you relate with the other person, because sometimes life gets busy, right? So even though it's important that they communicate and tell you, oh, I'm going to be very busy today, so maybe we just talk once, on like how often we would have spoken. But when you have self-worth, you have something going on for yourself, so you're not always in the person's face.
Yes.
Right? You don't become a burden, so your life is not dependent on the relationship, and it doesn't feel like I'm nothing without you, or your life evolves around the relationship. So thank you very much for that. So to wrap it up, we're going to briefly talk about how to navigate relationships in a healthy way. And for that, I would say that, how do you feel about being in a relationship with this person? Does it add to you, or does it subtract from you? Have you lost your peace, or your sense of self-worth? Being in a relationship with this person, how does this person treat you? Do you feel at peace? Do you feel at home? Do you feel comfortable with this person, or do you feel like you've lost some piece of yourself?
Like I said before, everything we've talked about so far when it comes to self-respect, knowing your worth, communication, if these things are not set, you cannot continue, and you cannot try to make this relationship work if the other person is not trying to put in the same effort as you to make the relationship work.
Right.
Because the relationship now is just you. It's 100% you, and that person is not willing to at least put 1% into the relationship to actually help you. The whole relationship is not going to work. So you have to understand, whether it's checking up on the person, just these little things. It doesn't have to. Some people, they don't ask for too much to feel love.
Yeah.
Some people, they ask for a lot, but some people, they don't ask for a lot. For me, I'm a type of person that all I ask for is loyalty and trust. If I can trust you, I know I'm able to put my all and actually devote all of my time, knowing that you wouldn't stab me in my back. Also loyalty, knowing that if I leave you alone around certain people, I can trust you that you wouldn't do something bad behind my back. Right? So if you really want your relationship to work, you have to make sure these things are set in place. Your self-worth, communication, respect, and also boundaries within the relationship, or nothing's going to work at all, because that person is now just using you for their own well-being. And if, for an example, if your significant other is only using you for money and only using you for certain things, once your money is gone, they're going to disappear. And people have to understand that relationships are not only based off money. Relationships are based off love, quality time, because when you guys are both old, money's not going to be, it's not going to really help relationship. It's you guys being able to love each other for all those years. So
if there's one thing that I'll take out of today's conversation, is that your relationships should be healthy. How do you feel being in a relationship with this person? Is there mutual respect? Are your boundaries being respected? Are you communicating effectively and healthy? And are your communications healthy? And on the flip side, does your relationship look like chaos, or is it toxic? Are you anxious when you're about to speak with this person, or come in contact with this person? Those are things you should consider, and if that sounds like your relationship, then it's probably a great sign to reevaluate if it's really worth it. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us on today's episode. Remember, be true to yourself and value yourself. Your life does not evolve around your relationship with anyone. First be complete, first be whole in yourself, as a person. Then you can bring value to the other person and have a mutually respectful relationship. Until next time, keep winning, keep thriving. Remember to follow us on all our social media platforms. Give this video a like if you found it helpful, and subscribe if you haven't. You can keep the conversation going in the comment section, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Bye for now.
The Vibes with Favour Daramola will continue in the next episode.